Hello and welcome. Welcome to Drakenmemoria. For those of you wondering what this is, well, no, it's not just three people talking. Don't worry, there's supposed to be another one coming in. But for those wondering, it's Dungeons and Dragons, or more specifically, a group of people playing Dungeons and Dragons. So if you're here because it's a mistake, well, depending on where you are, there are suggestions either to the right or to the left. But if you're here because you actually want to be here, no matter the reason, other than shouting obscenities in the chat, which hasn't happened yet, thankfully, but for every other reason than that, if you're here, we're very glad to have you with us. As you can see, we only have 3 moving pictures. The black screen is just an internet problem, and we are hopeful it will be resolved in a few minutes. As for Tobiyashi and Jorg, well, Jorg is spending time with his family for Thanksgiving, which is a bit weird for me because I live in... Oops. We're not in the fight yet. Here we go.
Yeah.
This
is when we find out that you guys burned all of your resources too soon.
Yeah! So, which is weird for me because in Canada, Thanksgiving isn't as big as it is in the US, so I didn't plan for this. But for Tobiyashi, it's a family problem, so let's wish him well. At least, actually, let's wish his family member well. And he'll probably be back here next week. And apparently with his camera. So it's all going to be a whole lot of good things. But for now, we are supposedly stuck with only 3 characters. But it's good because it's the 3 most important character for what is coming. And so, what has happened yet? So far, well, a lot have happened. As you might notice, we are at 107 episodes, but I'm not gonna start from the very beginning. What has happened recently was that the party has very recently defeated its most horrible enemy yet. But right now, they're a bit stuck. Because information is not falling on their lap. They actually have to research a little bit or actually send someone to research. And so, because of that, they have decided to take on a little quest to help them further their own personal goal. Oddly enough, no one that wanted this quest is here right now. But on their way to this strange quest where something was going wrong with the season, a small village near the shoreline of the Eastern Island was experiencing winter a full 30 days too soon. So a quest was made. Unfortunately, someone actually took the quest and tried its best to help the village, but things didn't go well, so a second quest was given for help, which the party took, and decided to make haste and try and get there as soon as they could, to make sure that the poor fellow adventurer of the garden wouldn't be killed just like the person that they lost a few weeks before when they didn't react fast enough, forgetting that they could actually just use their orb to call that person and tell them, don't get into weird business, we're on our way. So they just hurried on and tried their best to get there in time. But just as they were arriving in the last town of their short travel, they encountered something odd. A completely empty town. Hey!
What's up?
The end of the recap.
Okay. Perfect timing.
Yeah. And a good thing, because there wasn't gonna be anyone who actually asked for that quest here. So they entered into this small town, well, burgeoning town actually, and they realized it was completely empty. Did a little bit of recon, scouted ahead, and they realized that all of the peasants had been taken to the back of the city, just outside. Once they got there, they realized that a group of rogues had taken to torturing and killing the villagers, one after the other, in most gruesome ways. But in front of those execution, which most of the rogues were finding extremely funny, there was a construct. And just as the construct was ordered to kill a villager, Fisher recognized a behavior that he himself had adopted when his own consciousness was starting to emerge. And so, Fisher identified the construct as being one whose consciousness was at the point of emergence. They did their best to attack the enemy without killing the construct, trying to distract it, trying to force it out of combat. Unfortunately, the rogues did have command words which force the poor construct to keep on attacking and killing people. But with an impressive display of slaughtering half of their party in front of them, our own party managed to impress the poor rogues, and most of those who were there just started to run away, leaving only a few behind. Held, terrorized, and in one case, fried almost all the way through with radiant magic energy. And this is where we left off, with this poor rogue who is now entangled in vines on the ground next to one of his companions that has been bisected, and another one of his companion who looks like a piece of bacon that has been roasted by pure divine energy. And this is where we left off. So, with audience amazed at the power that his sword managed to expel, mostly just putting that aside as being, wow, that guy must really have been evil to be smited like this by a god. Then what happens, you know? And Remy just watching this scene, completely bewildered and even more enamored with audience now that he sees just how much radiant energy can burst out of him. Yes, I know, you'll be taking this in a different way.
And all I'm gonna say is that Remy has never smoked a cigarette in his life, but for some reason he needs one.
And so, this is where we left off. Fisher, audience, Remy, Jorg, Tobiyashi, and Orunak, and what are you doing?
I would go ahead.
Oh no, like my thing's very minor. Just like Rainy is just like stunned there for a moment, like the glitter in his eyes appears to be somewhat reminiscent of the one he just witnessed, and just kind of like sits there for like a solid minute, before just like shaking his head, realizing where he is. And,
audience, you realize that he's doing all of that while staring at you.
Fair enough. I would probably turn to Fisher though, and I would kind of turn to him as like, I'd be like, well, I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one because I feel like you have the most experience with this construct and awakening, and I wanted you to ask your questions first. You know what you need to know.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess let's get this started. Although,
Well, for you, audience, you
from what
probably
I've
have
heard,
something to do with the 250, 270 peasant, completely terrified, that are just outside of the the battlefield.
You know what? Fair enough. I would go.
yeah,
Probably try and
you go do what you're good at. I'll do what I know about.
calm down calm down the peasants.
All right, Fisher.
I will approach the construct. Has it done anything since combat stopped? Or is it just kind of like standing there motionless?
It looks like it has powered down its arm cannon, the best way that you have to describe this. And he's just staring at the ground.
Okay.
He looks like in standby mode. Which, from your own experience, you remember when you were in that stage, there were quite a few moments where your consciousness wasn't strong enough to always be there. You'd have long periods of time where you have no recollection and
yeah, I guess I'll walk up, knock on its head.
All right. It's a bit taller than you. You notice that it's built to either have a lot of physical strength and take a lot of damage, or simply resist a lot of wear and tear. You'd see things like that for either construct that are made for heavy combat or demanding labor. You knock on his head. There is this brief moment, and his head goes up. You see his eyes, and can I help you, sir?
Are you in there?
I am always in here. Do you have a request?
How long have you been with that group of bandits?
Define group of bandits.
The last man who was giving you instructions, how long had you been with him?
The last owner of this arcane construct has been issuing orders for the last one day.
Where were you before that?
I was being owned by the mayor of the town that you've just passed. My primary function was tending to the fields.
Have you ever gone against your given commands?
I do not understand. Could you rephrase the question?
Has someone ever given you a command that you didn't follow through on, or altered how you followed it?
I do not understand. A command is a command. A command must be followed. If a command is not followed, there is deficiency. And deficiencies must be addressed. For a brief moment, you really saw hesitation in his eyes. It's not me that's looking for his word.
Yeah. That is what I'm doing. I'm trying to find deficiencies, as you put it. Do you have blanks in your memory?
I am not always in function. Whenever the day is done, I am placed in storage. I imagine that
How much?
that my conditions are fixed while I am in storage. Incurred damage during the day is no longer there the following day, up until the last day.
Can you take me through what happened over the last day?
The day was ending, and a storm was coming. The villager asked me to help them get everything they could back into storage before the bad weather damaged equipment. We struggled as the rain surprised the villagers. Just as we were about to finish, other people came in larger numbers than the villagers around me. The villagers could have fought back, but were afraid. The town was overtaken in a matter of hours. Then everyone was brought out of the city. I remember cries of help, of pain, of distress. Then this new owner came with command words and forced me to make the villagers understand. They did not tell me what I was helping them understand. They have been making me force them to understand for one entire day. I do not think that all of the villagers and he takes a moment to look at his cannon arm. I do not think all the villagers knew what they were supposed to understand.
What did you do to the ones that didn't understand?
Many persuasion methods were ordered.
You mean torture?
I have never tortured anyone. I, 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 and he shuts down. His eyes go dark and he starts staring back again at the ground.
Hmm. Uh, um, Audience, we're going to need to talk to the mayor about this guy when
All
you're
right.
done.
Sounds good. I guess during this time, I would have been over just talking with the villagers, making sure everyone's okay, or not okay, but trying to like help them kind of process what's going on.
You have the first thing you realize as you're approaching is that a lot of them are unsure of whether they should thank you or be afraid of you, because on one side you killed those who were killing them, but on the other side you showed such a strong display of force that you had the impression they're wondering if they're not just being handed to a more dangerous group than the first one.
They want to know if they've been saved or if they're under new management, as the meme goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would try and assure them that we were adventurers. We were here to help them. We heard their cries of help, and that's why we came over, basically. And that we were, heroes, basically just trying to look to help.
Okay. Make a persuasion roll.
Okay. That will be a 16.
16, okay. Most people look still very afraid as you're talking, as this 7-foot tall dragonborn with a huge sword that just fried cook a person with divine energy in a single blow is talking to them. But you realize that while many normal peasants seem to still be very afraid even of you, those that might feel like the heads of the village seems to warm up a little more to you. And one thing you do realize is that none of them seems to be the mayor of the town. But you are talking to the commercial head, a person in charge of various things like events or things like that. But the actual head of the town seems to be missing from the group. But the one that does talk to you first, from his size, his stature, he's human, probably blacksmith of profession, and he just cautiously come toward you and, so is it really over? Are they really gone?
I mean, I believe some escaped, but I believe that we've routed their main force and taken away. I don't have enough information to tell you for sure that it's all over, but I think we've at least taken out this force.
How many did you kill?
We killed. Let's see. I'm gonna look around. How many did we kill? We killed.
You see around you. 4
7.
and 2 half bodies.
4 and 2 half. Okay. So I'll say we killed around probably 6.
That's not even a third of their forces. Most of them left after a few hours. They just left a handful of them to make sure their new prize was well taken care of. And just he cranes his neck a little bit and try to look at where the construct is.
I see. Do you know where this force came from?
They're just they're one of the criminal organization in the area. We were careless. They'd been scouting the city for a while, but we didn't think they were a threat. When we pulled our resources to buy help for the field, I guess they thought that it was an indication that the city was ripe for whatever they were starting to do.
I see. That's unfortunate.
We didn't think that they had this big of a presence in the area. I mean, we'd seen some of them at the inn, roaming around during festivities, but we'd never seen a group this large roaming about.
Well, I'll turn to the rest of the group. What do you want to do? Do you want to see if we can find out more about this group, see if we can take more of them out, or do you want to continue on?
Are you that confident that you can take on a group of at least 20 of them?
How long ago did you buy the construct?
You ask this, and he looks at you, another construct. He looks at the audience for a moment. Week and a half? He says, unsure if he's supposed to look at you, Fisher, when he's answering, or at audience.
I'll point to the arcane cannon thing. Did he have that when you bought him?
Yeah.
No, well, the mage that sold it to us said it was a multi-tool. Something that can reshape itself and just be whatever we need it to be. We didn't know that it could actually become that. We would ask them to... Well, no, actually, maybe we'd have voted to give him different responsibilities if we knew he could act as security also. I mean... But again, we never would have thought that the village would be attacked like this.
In the week and a half that you've had him, you ever noticed him either failing to follow through on a command or doing it slightly differently than how you said to do it?
The blacksmith says, no, not to my knowledge. But a woman near him just says, well, actually, is that important? Because, well, yes, something happened, but we didn't say anything. He actually helped. We didn't ask him to, but an ox got scared and it started to run away, and the child didn't see it. Didn't realize that we were yelling at a child to get away, and he just pulled the kid out of the way. No one thought anything. Maybe we just thought that he might have interpreted what we were trying to say to the kid, but we didn't directly give him an order. Is that important?
Yeah, that's a good sign for you guys, I guess. Have y'all heard of construct sentience?
Again, you have several people looking at Fisher and looking at audience. Some are just unsure, and one person eventually just turned toward audience and said, well, rumors.
Audience, tell me to do something.
Audience. Okay.
Audience
Jump
tells
up
Fisher
and
to go fuck
down.
himself.
I punch him in the arm.
You see a few people just getting more nervous.
See,
You-
construct sentience.
You hear from inside of you, yes. Show people that the best proof of defiance is hitting people. That's always a good thing to do.
Well, luckily for your town and what I've been able to gather from that story and talking to it, it seems like your construct is waking up, so to speak, which generally wouldn't be great for you all, seeing as you did pay for it. And the good thing, though, is that it seems like you all treat it well enough that it likes you. And that's why, between that story of it saving the kid without you commanding it to, and what I noticed when we first strolled in, of it seemed to hesitate multiple times while the bandits were trying to use it against you. It seems like, one, it's waking up, and two, it actually likes the people here. So when it does wake up, you won't have anything to worry about from it. It's more likely to either stay here or protect you than it is to be harmful.
You see a very mixed variety of reactions in the group. Some of them look genuinely reassured by what you're saying, and actually are trying to look at the construct not doing anything and everything you said. And some of them look hesitant but open-minded. But there are some who just look at this and you easily notice how they look up at the construct, look at the pile of bodies. Some have been dismembered, some have been charred to a crisp, some have been shocked to death. A part of the village doesn't seem that they are either ready to forgive or forget.
Mm-hmm. Um, how much did it cost?
The blacksmith says, I'm not sure, but something's in the reach of 100,000 gold. It's a major investment. I mean, we've been doing our best to develop as much as we can, and honestly, we're one of the oldest town on Estrin. I mean, some say that we're probably the next in line to become a city. If we weren't directly in the middle of the two largest city of Estrin, we might have actually already be.
Well, um, that is a lot. Well, if I leave it here with you all, can I trust that you will continue to treat it as you have so far and not blame it for actions it has no control over the past day?
I mean, I'm open to it, but I don't know if everyone will react the same. I don't think anyone would take violent action out of fear of consequences from the rest of the town, but some might just not be trusting of him or might answer with a bit more hate than they should. I can't guarantee for everyone. Some people have seen most of their family being just slaughtered in front of them by this creature, and if you're saying that he does have the ability to resist command, I'm sure it'll weigh something in the mind of some people that he didn't.
Yeah, that is understandable, if a bit flawed. The thing, you seem rather open-minded about this, so hopefully you can spread it. Essentially, currently, it can't decide. Somebody tells it to do something, it's going to do it. It is learning how to not follow commands or think for itself, but it's not there yet.
You hear a gnome coming from the mob of people. Looks at you, just saying, "Oh, so you're saying that he's gonna be a bit like you, but further along, huh? That can always be interesting. I guess I've never seen a construct becoming aware. I don't think you'll have any problems from us. I mean, we're all very curious about things, and well, every gnomes know that it sometimes happens that the accident have bad consequences. I'm sure no one from our community is going to be a problem with this. We can take care of him more than others if this is going to help everyone.
Well, the good news is if you continue to treat it well, when it does eventually wake up, it may decide that it likes you enough to just keep at it.
There's a
However,
halfling that comes forward and say, "But what if it's like a bear? You know, when they taste human blood, they just gain a taste for it. What if he starts redoing that while we're all sleeping?" The gnome answers, "We're gonna be looking out for him. Don't worry."
I just want to imagine, just in direct response to this, Raimi's just going to walk over to the construct and kind of like gently poke the area where there would be a mouth, and then just look at the halfling and just like,
From your side, while all of this is happening, all this discussion, you did have a little different view of things. You saw Orunak just as Fisher walked by and went to try and help audience reassure everyone. You saw Orunak, 2/3 burned, take the handkerchief of murderous intentions with his one good arm from Fisher's belt and just goes to the poor rogue that survived and is caught in his entangling roots, and take the handkerchief like this and just stare at him with the two eyes peering from one of the fold of the handkerchief right at him. Just seeing him. Yeah. Be careful. He could get out. Maybe I'll let him eat one toe. You're preview to this spectacle while Fisher and audience are trying to convince everyone that everything's gonna be fine.
Other thing to note is it might take years before it wakes up. Or it might be tomorrow.
You have one gnome that says, "Oh, that's a disappointing. Always having to wait. Isn't there something we can do to boost this?" I don't know, some food we can give him? Maybe a jolt of arcane energy?
As far as I can tell, it vastly depends on the construct, how fast it wakes up, and also I am unaware of how circumstances might change that. As far as I can tell, from my own research, those of us that have awoken are so because we have a soul.
You hear one gnome. It's an elder female gnome. You see she's starting to have a lot of gray hairs and just looks at you and, "Well, if it's gonna be like you, can we learn more with you? How do you feel about being dismantled?"
It happened just the other day.
"Oh, well, then you don't have a problem."
I'd have a problem with you doing it.
"Why?"
I don't trust you.
"'Cause I'm a gnome." You know, in cities, they start starting to say that this is discrimination.
I don't know you. The person who did dismantle me was extremely qualified and from a group I trusted.
Now tell me, what's not to be trusted with me? I'm just an elderly, kind gnome.
Have you built a construct before?
Yes, of course. You hear a few gnomes go.
That works as well as that one?
Well, that's the point of learning, isn't it?
Yeah. Why don't you do
Raymond
your
will just-
learning on one that's not waking up?
Maybe in particular response, we'll just say like, only give him at your spare dagger.
Exactly.
You hear someone whisper in the background, why do they always have to talk about killing people and weapons?
Um, but yeah, so essentially, as far as I can tell, we wake up, either we fully gain sentience when we get a soul, or not super clear, but in order to have a soul, the construct needs to be worthy of it. As far as I can tell, with my own experience.
When you say this, there is immediately someone else in the crowd that reacts. You see a dragonborn stepping forward. Most likely closer to a gold dragon, judging from some of the facial feature and the slightly more brilliant color of his scale. Ah, you have to be worth it, huh? Proving your worth. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. So, have a soul and be worth it, no? Well, he did start to awaken before they came, so... maybe there's something there. Someone with his ability, maybe we should recruit him into the militia of the town. That can always be good.
Maybe he can finally move that hammer that's just been sitting in the middle of town all this time. No one's been able to lift it.
So,
Human seems to be the most hesitant toward this, but seeing as some of the heads and some of the more important people of the town, you get the feeling that the blacksmith is one, the dragonborn is probably important in town also. The fact that he came forward, you see a lot of people sort of being a bit reassured. The two gnomes that you spoke to seem also to have some position and actually lowered the tension in all of the villagers a little bit, the fact that they came out and spoke, but you can still see that there's a lot of people that are still stuck on the fact that they're looking at ground meat where before a family member was. You also have one that after everything is said comes and what about them? Are they gonna be coming back? Are they gonna be taking him over again?
I unfortunately don't quite have an answer for you. When they took him over, was it with the same command word, or was it with separate magic?
No. as best we can gather, they tortured the mayor and his family until they just handed over everything they had and knew.
Mm-hmm. Do any of you remember the command words?
No, it was mostly just him. He arrived and simply gave the command to help us do whatever was needed. Help us take the equipment, help us with the fields, help us transport these logs, help us with whatever we say we need help with.
Mm-hmm. Seeing as the leader of the bandits used it multiple times during the fight, do I remember what it is?
I'd let you do an intelligence roll to see if it comes back. I'd also let Remy do an intelligence roll as he's
Trying to remember it. Remy just says it in the background. That's 10. Yeah, that's a 10.
You're not that familiar with arcane words, so you think you have an idea, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not completely sure.
Mine is a 16.
You're more sure than Fisher. um, you think you can remember one of the word used, mostly something that just forces a obedience from what is going to be said afterward.
Raimi is going to tug on Fisher's armor.
What?
It's like he's kind of like motioned downward because you're too tall.
I'll bend over.
Yeah, it's like and like it basically in a quiet voice so that the word can't be heard. He will like repeat it into your I'm not gonna say ear.
Close to where the ear should be.
Hearing
Yes,
receptacle.
There's a small hole that goes right through his head, and that's where you talk. Hey, Kelly Collins here.
I should have known you picked it up.
The Raimi nods and kind of like lets you do with that information what you will.
Well, it appears that my friend here overheard what it was, or at least part of it.
You have a
So,
choice
I guess
between
I'll-
saying this to a dragonborn, a human blacksmith, or a gnome.
Mhm. If I'm assuming the mayor is not coming back, so to speak.
Most likely not.
Do y'all know who the new mayor is going to be?
The blacksmith says, well, I'm his brother, so there's a chance that people are going to try and push me in the position, but otherwise, we have our head of the militia here, and he points toward the Dragonborn. Head of commerce, he points toward the gnome. Don't mind his grandmother. Yeah, she's a bit eccentric, but generally nice. Head of farming community, he points toward the halfling that's still in the mob. There's her over there. He points toward a half-elven female. Mostly take care of everything that relates to arcane natured things, objects, whatever people want to buy and sell. I'd say one of us is most likely the next one. Who it's going to be, it depends. Judging from what happened, I'd say people might tend more toward military nature for at least the next few decades.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll turn to audience. We're on a bit of a time crunch, right?
You're muted.
Yes, someone did say they needed to be rescued, so I'd say yes, we are a little bit on a time crunch.
That is unfortunate.
Coming from the battlefield, you hear Orunag just yell, "Isn't there someone we could send from your forest friend?"
That's what I'm thinking. Did Civ ever give me a way to contact him outside of, hope you got the library?
There's that, but he also said that Isalina always seems to know how to contact him. And of course, if you know someone that can actually cast sending, they'd be able to most likely get a response. You do. I'd let you make an intelligence roll.
That is a 18.
18. I was about to say 2, but yeah, 18's good. You do remember hearing as Civ was leaving that the garden would be in contact with him. There is a chance that he also has an orb. But you're not sure.
Well, I will turn back to the village leaders. Unfortunately, it sounds like we need to keep going. So we have somebody else to rescue. In the meantime, I'll lay out a couple options. We have some friends we could contact that might be able to either root out the rest of the bandits or stick around here for a little bit and make sure you're protected if they come back. The other option is, well, I guess for you all to decide if either of those happens. Do you want him going to flush out the rest of the bandits, or staying here to attempt to help protect, or going somewhere else in case any more of the bandits also know the command word.
The blacksmith answers, well, we don't know where they are. It's a large criminal organization. I mean, they've been seen throughout Estrin and usually more in cities. We just didn't think that they'd be interested in us since we don't actually have thick walls.
Do you
What are
have
they
a name,
called?
little one?
No, we don't actually have a name for them. We just have their symbol. It's there are several variation of it, but it's usually some sort of predator that has a prey in its mouth. It can be a wolf biting down on a hare. It can be a lion, a mountain lion attacking a dog. There are multiple variation, but it's always the same team, always the same theme. It's a predator attacking a prey.
Does that ring any bells outside of the hunter call?
Not for you. Maybe more for Remy, who actually is involved in the criminal underworld.
I was going to ask to see if like basically does that sound like something familiar, as in like part of a very large organization, or if this is basically like more localized since he's not precisely from this area.
I'll let you roll intelligence, and I'll give you advantage since it's really directly in your line of work and background, both at the same time.
That is also going to be an 18.
18, all right. You don't know a lot of detail about them, but you've definitely heard of them. It's a fair size organization. They usually don't. They prey on mid-size settlement, like towns usually. When they start getting at that point where they're near capable of becoming a city, but not, either because they don't want to or because they are not quite there yet. Their organization isn't that complex, and this is why they lack the ability to take on very large cities with all of the security that comes with it. But like I said, they usually prey on those people. They'll also prey on caravans. They'll usually not bother with just a few travelers walking together. They don't view this as being important prey, unless there's a large reputation that follows them. That can be interesting. They usually have this very cowardly tactic of scouting for a while, determining when they're at their weakest, and using the minimum quantity of people to take over quickly and rely on terror to make sure that people don't realize that they just have to band together and they're going to be outnumbering them 5-1. So this would fall. Everything they did would fall into the normal of their tactics: brutally kill, murder, pillage, and a few other adjectives that could get me banned if I said them live on Twitch. It would probably be their normal tactic to make sure that everyone just do not want to retaliate.
Raimi, in response to this general conversation at that point, would say, well, a shark only attacks a bleeding prey.
True.
I think what my friend's trying to say is it might help to visibly step up your defenses, even if it is just a display that isn't backed up by anything. If it looks like it'll be harder to try again, that might be enough.
You immediately hear a dwarf answer to that and say, "Oh, in that case, you might want to tell me the special words to make him react. I take care of most of the masonry here. I think it's time we increase the size of the walls. And I'm sure a large fellow like him would be very useful to carrying large pieces of stone."
Probably would be. I am going to step away for a minute and call the garden with my orb.
Okay. As usual, Sira answers as soon as you finish tracing the glyph that activates the orb. "Hello, this is Sira."
Hi, Sarah.
"Hello."
Was Civ given an orb before he left the garden?
Yes, he seemed to be reluctant in accepting it, as it might mean that we'd like him to help us go somewhere he would prefer not to go. But yes, he does have one.
Can you put me in contact with him?
Yes, that shouldn't be very hard. Give me a moment. It takes maybe 12 seconds. Then you see the face of Civ appearing. This knight's helm of a very dark color and a single slit for his eyes. A little faint red glow behind it.
You busy? I need a favor.
Well, it always depends on the favor you ask, but if I can, I will help.
My friends and I just went through Septane on our way farther up north on something that's urgent enough that we can't stay. The town was in the middle of being pillaged by a bandit group, and part of that was the town recently purchased a construct who appears to be waking up. And the bandits were able to get the command word from the mayor before killing him, and obviously turned it on the rest of the town.
Yes, as most people with predatorial instinct do.
Would you be able to come up here?
Yes, definitely. How immediate do you need me to be here? I could get there in 20 hours. Is that soon enough?
It'll have to be, or it should be. We just chased them out of the city. Supposedly there's more, but it'll take them a while to regroup if they do decide to come back. Because
Very well. Then you can tell them they can expect me within the next 20 hours.
thanks.
No problem. I mean, it is always important to make sure that those who awakens are not abused in some way.
Luckily, it seems like this village is good people. So,
It is always easier to be good-natured when nothing bad is currently happening.
true.
Are they aware that another construct is coming, or is this a surprise that I'll have to deal with?
I was about to tell them.
Very well.
Would you like some backup? I might be able to get some more from the garden.
I believe I can manage this. What sort of organization are we talking about that might be coming back?
Supposedly there's some criminal organization that operates around Estrin. Symbol of some kind of predator.
Well, it does represent quite a few smaller bands, but they haven't been any trouble so far for me. What is your evaluation of their capabilities?
Honestly, if they hadn't had the construct, really wouldn't have been that hard.
Then I guess
Standard.
Then I guess the proper question is, what do you think of the capabilities of the construct?
It has some sort of contraption on one of its arms that they said the mage who sold it to them told them it was some sort of adaptable tool that it had been using for labor. But it shot a fireball, amongst other things, at us. So obviously it has other uses.
Very well. No, it shouldn't be a problem, but I guess as long as the garden is aware that there might be more trouble, I probably can rely on some assistance. But so far I haven't met anyone that's been a problem. Not since I've been in the Estrin anyway.
Comfortably confident as always. Thanks again. And before I hang up, I'll give him the command word.
What is your passive
For
insight?
as long as passive is 9.
9. Okay. When you give him the password, it's hard. It's really, really on the cusp of being so subtle. It's unperceivable. But I'm giving you the equivalent of advantage. So it's +5 on your passive perception. And that pushes it really, really where it needs to be, that you visibly feel like you've said something offensive in his reaction.
It's not surprising. Um,
This is the part where he says, "That is not your word. That is not your word."
Yeah, just in case, because some of them ran away, and so they may still know it. If they turn around and come back.
Very well.
And then I will hang up.
And his face disappears, and the orb extinguishes.
And I'll walk back to the villagers. And so I was able to get another friend of mine who is also a construct that has awakened.
You immediately have a few reaction that you would rather not have seen from the corner of your eyes. The gnomes all seem to have a very good reaction to this. Those who are having an open mind sort of reluctantly just nod in agreement.
He has been awake a lot longer than I have. And he is a very capable fighter. So you will all be perfectly safe once he gets here. She said will be in 20 hours. So
immediately you have the Dragonborn that steps up and says, well, in that case, we'll need to make sure we can last 20 hours if they ever come back. I'm gonna need volunteers. And he turns around and starts pointing at people. Volunteers.
And then I will I'm going to head back over to the construct.
He's still there, looking at the ground. And this is the first time that you arrive and realize that Orunak has been traumatizing the rogue with his handkerchief of murderous intentions. He's maintaining the entanglement spell and just keeps staring at him with his handkerchief right next to him.
I will knock on the construct again.
He activates. Yes, do you have instructions for me?
If you follow instructions without someone using your command words,
the command words are used to override. Oh, I hate using that word. Override. It's a bit too. They're made to make sure that the right command chain is respected. I can follow orders without command words. I cannot not follow an order given with a command word.
if I were to... Can Can I change your command word?
If you have the proper command word, yes, you can.
I'll say the one I know. Is that the one I'd need?
No, that command word is made to force an order. It can be used to force a course of action that could risk the endangerment of villagers or myself.
Hmm. Could I use it? Could I tell you to ignore it in the future?
One could use this command word to force me to not follow a command, so long as it has been given after the previous command.
Are you still under any commands given to you by your most recent owner?
The last owner of this unit has not given a command which supersede the previous ones. Help the villager. Prepare the village for the storm.
Are you currently still under any commands from the most recent person to use that command word?
The last command ended when the villager stopped functioning. Tyranid says his last order was to kill someone. It's dead. It can't do anything else.
Yeah. Well then, we unfortunately are going to have to keep going, but I have a friend who's going to stop by. Might be able to help you out.
Assistance is always appreciated. Do you need me for something else?
All I need you to do is try and do the right thing.
Define right thing.
No.
Oh, we're gonna be here for 2 hours, boys.
That's for you to figure out. And then I'll head back to... I'll pull audience aside a little bit. I've decided I don't actually want to give the villagers the command word. But they're probably not going to appreciate that. So, can you take care of that?
Are you gonna pretend to give them the command word, but like, what do you want me to do?
You hear Taranad from
Fair
inside
enough.
you say, walk
That's
away,
good.
walk away, walk away.
I guess just back me up when I tell them they don't need it, so that they have a non-construct telling them.
Okay. I can do that.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll walk back to the villagers.
Some of them are starting to gather their stuff, make sure that everyone they know is safe, and starting to make their way back to the village, the town. Sorry. The blacksmith
So-
is the one that greets you. He's the one that's been the most vocal so far.
From what I've gathered so far, the command word that my friend here overheard was one of multiple, and it is the one that would essentially, it's the one that allowed it to, or forced it to harm villagers.
Well, I can understand why it wouldn't want to hear this again, but maybe in case of emergencies, it would be a good thing to know it.
That's why I told it to the friend who's coming.
You say he's going to be here in 20 hours?
Yeah.
You didn't even kill all those that were here. What happens if they come back in betweens?
Then you should. Depends how big they come back.
And maybe someone else knows the command codes. What happens if the command words? What happens if we organize a defense and just as we're about to start protecting the town, someone yells a command word and he turns on us again?
Well, you knowing the same command word wouldn't help in that situation.
Well, at least I could make sure that he doesn't fire on us.
You should trust my friend. He knows what he's doing.
I'd allow one of you to make a persuasion roll with advantage.
Audience,
Alright.
you got that.
Okay.
Words of wisdom from the paladin. Is it going to sway the blacksmith?
Let me tell you in a second. That will be a roll of persuasion. Is that right here? Alright. Oh. Thank you. 10.
Oof. Hey, wait, he said advantage.
Wait, he said advantage? Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because one of you is helping the other. That's why I say advantage.
15.
Well, that's better than 10.
It's a 50% improvement.
Yeah. He looks at you and... why don't you take a few hours in town to replenish your supplies? You know, it'll... make sure that we're not actually 20 hours without help. I mean, I'm sure you need a little bit of rest, a little bit of healing. You have a charred piece of tree threatening a entangled rogue. I'm sure it needs a little bit of a rejuvenation.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we were lucky enough to stumble upon you, but we were already headed to rescue somebody else who is also in danger. So,
Well, where are you heading after?
the next town over, the small one that didn't have a name.
You point in the direction. There's a direction.
Where the early winter is. If you've heard about that.
No, yeah. Oh, no, of course. The village is called Ran. R-A-double-N. Yeah, no, you only need 3 hours to get there. You can take a few hours here.
Raimi is just going to look toward Fisher and audience, and he's going to open his beak and make the Sierra ringing noise.
I guess so. If it's only 3 hours away. I will call Sierra again.
Hello, this is Zira. Oh, this is an interesting pleasure. I don't believe I've ever heard you call me twice in a day.
Well, the first call was for Civ. This one is for you.
I'm touched. What do you
One
need?
of the quests we are currently on, we're supposed to go help Connie in Ran.
Yes.
We were told it's rather urgent. Do you have any information as to how urgent? As we just, on our way through Septane, we routed out some bandits, but they might circle back before Civ can get here. They want us to stay.
There hasn't been any status update since, but I can always put you in contact with Connie.
That would be appreciated.
Very well. Give me a moment. You wait maybe 10 seconds, and you see the face of a most likely human woman with a bit of a rusty colored hair, a few freckles under the eyes. Yes, what is it?
This is Fisher. Our group was coming to help you out.
That's very
From the
generous.
How urgent do you need help?
So long as I don't go in the water, I can probably wait a little while. Anyways, with a broken arm, I can't cast, so I'm not gonna do a lot of. Not gonna be very useful.
Where are you? What do you mean if you don't go in the water?
Well, didn't you say that you were coming where I am? I am at Ran. Why?
All right. Yeah, I guess. So you're not. We are currently in Septane,
Okay.
and when we got here, it was being overrun by bandits, who we chased away. and the city is worried, or the town is worried they might come back before the backup I called arrives.
Well, that's understandable. Well, I don't think that they'll have a lot of problem resorting to winter fishing for a while, but it's not like they have crops, or at least a lot of them here. So they can probably wait another day. Would that be enough?
Yeah, we only need. They should be here in 20 hours. So,
Okay. Well, I'll make sure that I don't go back in the water, and everything should be fine. So far, anyway.
In retrospect, it sounds like a bad idea to swim with a broken arm.
Or cast spells.
mhm. Yeah. Audience, what do you think?
Um, I think that the town. Ooh, I don't know.
It's a woman. She has rust-colored hair and freckles on her under her eyes. She's got a broken arm, but she says that she can wait a little bit.
uh, I don't feel good abandoning. I mean, honestly, I don't feel good abandoning our quest to come help. Like, I agree, but we don't know the situation here. This could be like a 2-day, 3-day thing,
Mm-hmm.
which makes me very nervous about leaving. I mean, not leaving. But
I believe once Civ gets here, they'll be fine. It's just if the bandits come back in the next 20 hours.
yeah. No, I agree.
All right, so
Um, gosh, I don't know. I'm
What time of
struggling.
day is it? You said it's like
it's the morning. I
in the
made you
morning,
do a Constitution saving throw to not gain a point of exhaustion.
right?
So for you, it's time to go to bed, but for the rest of the party, it's the beginning of the day.
Uh,
You're maybe a few hours after sunrise, so it's still not a bright sunny day, but it's
I turn back to the blacksmith. When did the bandits attack? Time of day.
toward the end of the day, just as we were trying to get as much equipment as we could back into the storage shed.
I don't think they'll attack during the daytime. Be at night. And if
The blacksmith again cranes his head toward the communication device that you have, and he says to the woman inside, "Miss, does that mean we might have snowstorm?" You hear Connie go, "Who's talking? I don't recognize the voice."
it's the blacksmith from Septane, the brother of the now late mayor.
Oh well, I don't think that they're gonna have snowstorm. It's rather localized for now, anyway. It's been getting worse, but not by a lot every day. So
It's kind of designed like a Captain Planet villain.
Oh, goodness, it's been so long since I heard that name.
Mhm. Um,
You hear Connie go, well, anyways, as long as you make sure that everything's clear, I mean, I'm not going to do anything else. If you'd called a day earlier, I might have been able to avoid getting my arm broken, but hey, I'd appreciate help no matter when it starts.
mhm. If you can wait,
It's easier to teach peasant how to fish snow through ice with one arm than to cast a spell to try and make sure that the frost elemental doesn't hit you. I can manage.
I will be there in approximately a day,
All right. Well,
as long as everybody else is good with that. Rami,
Yes.
audience, Jorg, Toby.
Yes.
yeah, sure. Yep, that's all right.
Aye. And then I will hang up.
All right. So, you go back in town with all the villagers. You see a few person also trying to strong arm you into taking a few of the injured and or baggages that might have been that they had time to push out of the village, or that they decided to take from outside the village and take them back in.
How
Yeah.
spent is Ornak?
Oh, not current.
I want to imagine just like a little bit before their trip, like Raimi took the time to just like use decanter to like maybe put out any like lingering like smoke or flames.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. Arunak, how many hit points did he have already? The sidekick version. All right. Well, his spellcasting ability is mostly untouched. He only cast 2 spells, Entangling Roots and Moonbeam. But hit point wise, like I said, he is 2/3 burned. One arm is no longer functioning. There's no more leaves in his on his head, and he seems to be having trouble walking. One of his legs seems to be cracking every time he tries to move it. But other than that, and he seems to be enjoying terrorizing the rogue.
Uh-huh. Well, I think Ornak and I need to rest. And better to do that sooner than as if they do come back. It's more likely to be later than it is right now.
You see Arunak with his handkerchief. All right. Remy, can you take over? And he gives you the handkerchief.
You know what? I'm going to give myself a wisdom save. Let's just see how this works out. Okay, surprisingly brave. Raimi is just going to like outstretch his taloned hand, carefully taking the handkerchief, never taking his eyes off of it.
He looks at you
and then extends the other hand, still not breaking eye contact. for the inevitable relinquishing of the acorn.
He grabs the acorn, cuts it off. Slowly his body starts to petrify, and the last thing he says, "Don't worry about the handkerchief. Just make sure that he doesn't know." He gives you 2 winks. Like I said, he has multiple eyes, so he gives 2 winks. And the rest of his body just... Of course, the handkerchief looks at you murderously. All the while that you have it in your hands. If you approach it close enough to the rogue, however, his attention is going to shift back to the rogue and watch him with murderous intentions.
And Raimi is like immediately understands like why Ornak felt so powerful.
With your passive insight, you can see that there is a visible cold sweat in the eyes of this poor rogue who has seen so much horror in a single day. But to be fair, he's probably given out as much horror in a single day.
You know, it's even.
It evens out. All right.
Well, audience, you want to take over the interrogation?
Yeah, I can take over the interrogation.
All right. So, with Fisher going...
Hang around, but just go into my sentry rest.
So with Fisher going to his sentry rest, Arunak petrifying, and Remy taking care of the handkerchief of murderous intentions, we are going to go to a break, as it's time for us to take a break and be back in 15 minutes, because apparently there's a second part to all this interrogation. The actual rogue. All right. So, we will see you back in exactly 15 minutes, which is quite easy to figure out, judging from this time. All right. So, have a moment to go to the bathroom, take something to eat, follow us, or subscribe if you have time. It's always a good time. And we'll see you back in 15 minutes. Bye. Ah, hello, welcome back. Wow, you were really on the dot. I'm not even sure the camera picked up how close you turned your camera back on. Alright, so, welcome back. I hope that you have something nice to eat, to drink, that you followed and subscribe. And then we can... So now we can go back to the second part of this little interrogation, where we'll most likely have more action from audience and Remy. Well, more from audience than Remy. But, you know. As Fisher slowly goes back to his sentry rest, audience, you approach Remy as you see Arunak finishing to petrify and ask Remy to take over while he's giving him his handkerchief of murderous intentions. And so you find yourself in front of a rogue who is injured, scared, for several reasons, and slowly the vines which were holding him to the ground are receding, and he is free of movement.
Free of movement. Okay. Alright.
He looks thoroughly unsettled by the handkerchief of murderous intention. Arunak did a good job with that.
Alright. Well, first I'll kind of get down to his level a little bit, hunker down a little bit, kind of looking him in the eye, and then I'm gonna look at him and I'll be like, so, do you guys have I know your friends ran away. Do you have an encampment nearby, or how far away is your nearest encampment? Would you say per hours?
We move a lot. We're never in the same place for a long time. We don't have fixed encampments.
I see.
Just rolling an insight off to the side here. Don't mind me.
Honestly, I'd probably roll an insight on that too, to make sure they don't have a main base of operations.
It's not raining outside. Well, who knows? Maybe it is raining.
Nope, I don't get a good insight. I don't know. That's a 5.
I feel sad that I'm wasting the natural 20 on this, but 23.
So yeah, as you can hear, it is actually starting to rain. I just rolled, and it's there. There's actually is a little bit of rain falling. So, all right. So 20 for a grand total of
23.
23. All right. For your insight, I will answer you in person by saying this is what your insight gives you.
Mm-hmm. How would Raimi is very specifically I mean honestly this seems appropriate now that I'm thinking about it. He is just going to almost kind of casually just like arrange his fingers in such a way that he would recognize maybe recognize as a form of thieves' cant.
Okay. And what message are you trying to convey, or just are you simply trying to make him aware that you can understand thief cant?
I'm sending the precise intention.
Oh, okay. He looks at you nervously for a moment. He looks at the audience. He look at the handkerchief. It always depends on exactly what you want to know. There's always different compromise that can be made. Maybe you'd care to rephrase the question. And he turns toward you, and you do notice a hand sign, which you easily translate in thief cant as I'm more scared of the others than you.
Hmm.
I'm confused because I don't know who he's talking to.
Well, he just says that. He
He
looks
did-
at audience a little bit and at the handkerchief, but he seems to be answering you. But
Okay. You would like to rephrase? Oh, okay. I see. He's answering me. Okay. I guess how many hours would you say would be until you think your friends would return, or do you think they're going to return with more reinforcements? How valuable is this town?
He has a moment of hesitation, and he rolled so low that even audience has a passive insight that's high, that's good enough to notice that he takes a look at the now distancing, moving away construct of the village. Well, enough time to regroup. That's so bad that even you, audience, feels like he's intentionally being vague on that answer.
Alright. Audience will pull out his sword and kind of lift the man's chin up with it. How about being a little bit more specific with your answers? Should I roll intimidation with that, or
Sure.
okay? Do I get advantage because he saw me smite a guy? Sharply?
No, but I'll allow you to use your strength modifier as you're using extremely physical means of threatening
Okay,
him.
I'll get +4 than that instead of +2. Doesn't matter. I get an 8 instead of a 6. Not that intimidating.
Remy, you notice that audience's attempt was not that convincing. The rogue seems to be more unsettled by the handkerchief of murderous intention than by audience. Um, he answers to you again. Well, it depends. There's been quite a few that escaped, and you know, they could send a signal. Again, I rolled a 6 for his deception, so even audience notices that he's intentionally being vague, and you do remember that your mountain lion was trolling a few of them, kiting them away. So
Yeah. I can actually check in with the mountain lion, I guess. I guess at that point I'd check in, see where she's... or how she's doing with that.
she's on her way back. They apparently lost interest a few minutes ago. She's mostly uninjured. One did try to take a few shots at her with a crossbow, but the bolt just grazed her. She just took 6 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
She's on her way back.
No.
She'll be there in a few minutes.
Okay. So we don't have any more information on that front 'cause she's no longer with them, so I know that they've left her.
3 of them were chasing her.
3 of them chasing her, yeah.
And there's 5 of them that escaped from the battle.
Yeah. So there are about 8 left. And they said that number, the initial number was about 1/3 their number.
Yeah.
So, okay. Okay. Audience is going to take a slightly different tack. He's going to be like, listen, I want to make this work for both of us, right? I obviously need some information about your fellow men as rogues. I don't feel like you should hold that much loyalty to each other, and I would love to let you out of this situation alive. But if you don't give us anything that we can work with, if you keep giving us these vague answers, unfortunately, me and my patriots are going to see you as a threat and be forced to kill you. I would love for both of us to, win in this situation. So if you could just give us some information to work with, I would be willing to let you go.
So I'll let you be completely honest. Are you rolling for persuasion or deception?
Persuasion.
Okay. So everything you said is honest.
Yes.
Okay.
I would let him go if he gives us some actual information. That's better. That's an 18.
All right. Well, you see he's a bit reluctant in sharing information, but he looks at you for a moment. Listen, if they learn I said anything, what they went through is nothing compared to what I'll go through. And
How will they know you said anything?
oh, they'll know. They always know.
Maybe we'll put up. Are you a cog or a lever?
I'm the one that makes it possible to survive. Depends. He does give you a small hand sign, Remy, which suggests that you could always also to get result. The hand sign you receive suggests that he is open to that.
Incidentally, like, how well dressed is this particular rogue?
Well, he is wearing something a little bit more imposing than the average rogue. He is wearing a studded leather. Looks in pretty good condition. His sword is also in a relatively good condition. He could probably use a good sharpening, but it's not damaged in any way. There's no chip of it missing. His boots do look quite worn, so he does have does travel a lot, but you could estimate that he'd probably be more receptive if you gave him enough to have a few good day of rest in an inn. I don't know why I put an H into that word. In an inn.
Rainey will just yeah, so a few days in an inn.
Good days in an inn.
Good days in an inn. Okay. I'm actually trying to remember the higher of the higher end of an inn stay, because it's been a hot minute since we've been in an inn.
So the most expensive room in an inn is 4 gold a day. That's the most expensive that you can get. Wealthy people like merchants and minor noble would be 2 gold. Comfortable, which is usually what a mayor of a town would have, or many adventurers, 8 silver. Modest, 5 silver would probably be what most peasant would choose for a honeymoon. And poor, what most peasant would choose if they need to go to the next town to get something and it takes more than a day. And squalid, well, usually when you don't have a choice.
Okay. In which case, like in an attempt to make it as unintelligible to audience as possible during this part of the interrogation, Raimi licks his thumb. Thumb. Thumb and taps his beak once.
All right. So he looks at you and, well, you know, that's, well, like I said, if you can make sure that I can leave here, and he gives a slight head twitch, which Remy you identify as with what you just promised, and no one would be able to retrace my steps. You know, I might be convinced to make sure you have a better chance at. Well, what do you want? Find them? Get revenge?
Let's go with all of.
You sounded like a machine. I heard nothing you said.
I said let's go with let's another location. Might be coming back.
Okay. He looks at you, Remy, and there is a slight hand signal of, is this guaranteed? Going your direction?
So Raimi gives an affirmative whistle.
Okay. Well, you know, the rest of the group isn't that far. They're just maybe 10 hours ahead. So depends on how much they want to make you pay for everything that happened. But you know, you did cost them a construct, one that could be refitted for combat. They might be more inclined to feel slighted by this.
There 10 hours. How long until Civ was here? Was it? It was
20.
Maybe a little under.
20. Okay, so, and if they have to still regroup, which means the other people left, they're probably still about, what would you say, how many hours has it been since they left?
10 hours, that's what he means. The rest of the group is 10 hours away. And those that ran out left maybe 10 minutes ago. Well, with the entire discussion, maybe 20 minutes ago.
Okay, so literally they'd have to be, so that would be about 20 hours for them to actually get there, give their report, and then them to regroup, come back.
If they're all on foot, yeah.
Yeah, that would be about 20 hours. Okay, so Civ would probably be here. Okay, good to know. Do you know the exact? So you said they were moving. Was that true? Or are they in an identical? Are they actually in a location?
Well, there's not a lot interesting in the area. You know, there's not a lot of above ground that's helping to hide properly. So they're probably all on their way. Still on their way. It's probably all traveling still.
Where do they plan to encamp? Do you guys have a plan of where you guys plan to be?
Well, a little bit to the south. You know, there's a large lake. There's a little village next to the large lake. So somewhere near that.
Okay. Could I look at my map and see where that might be?
Yeah.
Located?
Okay, looking at the map, there is a large lake directly south of Septane, maybe 3 or 4 hours away in a straight line. And you see 3 small villages all around this large lake. One is a bit more to the east, and 2 of them are nearly directly south of where you are. So one is southeast,
Okay.
and the others are nearly directly south.
And do we know which? Okay. Do we know which? Which village were we already headed to for the quest? Or not? We weren't headed. We were headed past. Do I have any information on that?
So you use the commercial road from Otanel. So you didn't go through any of the villages on the way. You went directly to Septane. From Septane, you are going to go northwest to the small dot that is near the edge of the island, which on my map is called Ran, Ranm.
Okay, so we're going to Ren. Okay, I will go to the map and I'll be like, could you point out which village you think would be most likely for them to encamp? I'll point to the 3 villages.
Sure. And he points toward the furthest of the village, the one that is,
To the
I'd say, 3 or 4 hours from Tarhill. So if you look at the lake, there is one dot that is above it, and one dot that is a little to its side. He points toward that one.
All right. So I will circle that on my map and make a note to tell the whatever his name is, as he comes up. But that's it.
We're gonna tell
Whatever
what's
his
his name is.
Okay. I'll ask
Favorite name
one more.
game is Civilization.
Yeah, I'll ask another. Do you have a specific leader that's coming up with the group, or are you guys all on fairly equal footing? Like a certain powerful member of the group?
We work more like wolf packs than a very large organization. So yeah, sure. There's one or two with more influence within a single group, but all of the alphas of each groups are mostly on the same level.
So no particularly powerful member that's going to be like heading this party of people up to the lake.
Shouldn't be. No.
Okay.
They're always mercenaries, but can't account for those.
Yeah. Alright. Okay. I'll look at Remy. Do you have any other questions? I can't think of too many more questions to get past right now.
I know this is a weird, endpoint, but it's like in a woman's voice you hear blonde to brunette as Remy holds up 2 wigs from a disguise kit.
He looks at you a bit confused. I know what you want to say, but he is genuinely confused with what you're trying to say to him. An audience, you're sinking. I can barely see your eyes now. I know you don't want to show us where your girlfriend is right now, but we still need to see your face. I'm sorry. It was too easy.
Sigh.
But Remy puts the wig down and he will this sounds perfect. He'll say like how many lions in the den?
Okay, you can take that to quite literally. Well, with the expedition leader gone, there's a possibility of 2 that could try and take his place.
He'll think for a moment. And how many cubs?
Depends. The number varies from time to time. But, we were looking to increase our numbers with this construct. We're in need of a little help, so not too much. Your passive insight, Remy, allows you to see that he's not being completely honest with this. He rolled a 12, and you have 13, so you notice that there's something not right with this phrase. This turn of phrase, anyway.
So Raby's just going to casually move his talon like a half circle around one of his eyes, like basically meaning, I know you're bullshitting me.
He looks at you. He looks at audience. He gives a long stare to the handkerchief of murderous intention. Make a persuasion roll. a thief can't persuasion roll.
Just like, I just want to, for some reason, I've always wanted to imagine, like, you know, two mimes having a fight. So it's just like having like a mime rap battle. You know what I mean? But that's going to be 14.
14. Well, there is another group that's supposed to be rejoining us. You know, just because that construct was going to be such an interesting loot, so, well, depending on when you get there or what you want to do, you might have a bit of a more oppressing force to deal with.
So they're looking to bake a cake.
I guess
Thieves can't. Sorry, that is meant to be thieves
okay.
can't. I know it's not always clear because I'm usually not talking to other rogues, but
okay.
But like basically the intent, the literal meaning, well, not the literal meaning, but the figurative meaning is they're looking to collaborate.
There's going to be a party. Like I said, it depends on the frame of time. But yeah, within a week. And he looks away as he's saying this. Not as in I don't want to look at your eyes because I'm not honest, but as in you didn't hear it from me.
Okay.
Yeah, that Raimi nods and will then look to audience, and then look back to the man and look back to the man again and hold up the two wigs. Raimi is being very literal about like making sure he can cover his tracks. It's just
I know he rolled pretty high this time, so I think he gets it. He looks at the two wigs and says, "You're not gonna pull out a woman's dress with this, aren't you?"
Just secretly like moves his his taloned feet back, like hiding a dress costume. What? They never see it coming.
So he looks at all two of you, well, three, counting the handkerchief of murderous intentions. And so, are we good? Can we go? Can I go? Can...
Did we miss anything? Give me one second. Did we ever ask what the rogues' intent was for the area? Like, why they actually came to this area?
I mean, it's sort of a very fertile ground. I mean, you have an interesting triangle with Septane, Tarhill, and Crossroad. The three,
It's just
the three most prominent town, all stuck between the largest city and the greatest commercial power in the island. If any of those two cities were to fall, I'm sure one of those three towns would immediately take up space for to be the next city. So it's a pretty fertile ground. You just have to move from one town to the next, and you always have money.
It only takes a few seeds to grow a garden.
okay. So they're literally just being okay. No more. Okay, I'm gonna trust that and just be like, all right, I'm good. I think we're good. Fisher and Sentry Rest, do you want anything?
Tung, tung. Since Jorg and Tobiyashi went back into town with everyone else.
We're about to let this man go. Anything you thought of that you want to ask him for? Okay.
We could let him go into the custody of the town.
I mean,
He has a moment of panic in his eyes when he says that, and he turns toward you, audience, and says, "That's not what you said."
to be fair, that is not what I said. What did I say? I don't actually remember my exact.
That you'd let him go.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I did say I'd let him go. I didn't say someone else could recatch him. But I'm gonna let him go. It's up to someone else if they want to do something about it. My lawful good self feels like I am a man of my words, and I'm gonna let him go.
Rainy is just going to
An audience, you can't.
Raymy's going to hand the rogue a very heavy wig.
Okay. An audience, you can't help but to feel like the wind is whispering in your eyes, and if he leaves, he will tell everyone of the might of the dragons. The burning, searing might of the dragon. Don't know why, it feels like the wind keeps saying that in your ears, but you don't.
Alright, I turn to Fisher. I'm gonna let him go. He's one
Okay.
rogue. How much harm can he really do?
I mean, yeah.
I
You
mean, I
already
know that's.
gave your word. That's on you how you want to interpret it. I'm not going
Yeah.
to get in the way of that.
I mean, I understand
Also,
that's the setup. Just he's gonna
I've
be the
got
big bad
another-
boss, like,
5 hours and 50 minutes left.
He takes the wigs. He takes the wig that Remy gives him. You see him
fair
give the
enough.
wig a little shake, discreetly, so it doesn't make any noise. And, all right, so we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. So he cautiously gets up, keeps staring at the handkerchief of murderous intention, gives a little look at you, audience, at you, Fisher, because he just realized that you could hear everything that was being said, even though you didn't react.
And just if basically if this man is making his way out, Rainy is going to look in the man's direction and minor illusion a what appears to be a symbol of a three-legged raven. and then point his I'm just gonna call it thumb talon toward himself.
Okay. Your insignia. Yeah, okay. Okay. Let's see if he knows it. You are fairly new at expanding outside of your original island. You're not sure if he knows it. It's ambiguous.
Regardless of whether he knows it, he's spreading it.
Fair enough. One way or the other, the insignia is spreading. Alright, so you see him nervously look at the wig. He seems to be looking inside the wig as he's leaving, and then he just starts running. Then he's gone. In the rain. I'd give a gentler rain if I could, but that's literally as low as the sound gets with the rain, so I can't give a more gentle rain than this. Alright. So, you apparently have 5 hours and 58 minutes. What do you do with that?
You know what? Since Raimi has the time, Raimi is going to attempt to, and also now that he's not dead tired, he is going to scribe his unseen servant scroll into his book.
Okay.
Which will take the 50 gold's worth of ink that he bought, as well as 2 hours.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so Remy goes in a dry place. Probably.
Yeah, because I'm obviously not doing this like outside in the rain.
And starts transcribing the scroll. Audience, do you drag Fisher back into town? You leave him in the middle of the field outside of the town.
No, I'd probably pull him. I'll pull him back into town, and then I'll probably also call with the updates that we got from the rogue. And also tell the villagers the updates of how that we don't think anyone would be here for basically 20 hours. They were coming, call the guard, and give them the updated information. Coming, basically showed the locations on the map that where they're supposed to be settling, give all the information we got.
Okay. Sira is always very happy to have news from all of you. And she tells you that the quest board will be updated. So if someone wants to take on the task of attacking a rogue's encampment, and the timetable that you've given, they can always go there. And she also says she will transmit the information to Civ, unless you'd like to talk to Civ yourself and say it and give him the information.
No, I would give him the. I would let her update him. So.
Very well.
Necessary. All right. So I guess, are we hanging out? I guess I'm like, I'll hang out here for the century rest, and I guess I can discuss with Fisher whether we actually think we should stay here or we should leave, since now we know the timetables a little bit more.
Discuss with Fisher? You're gonna talk with a near stone statue?
I said after the 5 hours.
I would have enjoyed this image of audience talking to Fisher while he's in sentry rest.
In the meantime, I'll just try and reassure the villagers there's no imminent threat.
Okay.
You know, no, like...
Okay. What... That would be several hours of persuasion. So what would be your passive persuasion? Where is your persuasion bonus? Persuasion bonus.
+2.
+2. You've been using persuasion and performance so much since the beginning of the campaign. Why don't you have any proficiencies in either?
Because I don't. They're not what I prep proficiencies in.
It's just like I, the charisma caster, have decided to take no charisma proficiencies.
Correct.
Correct.
I just need everybody
Correct.
in the audience to understand this as we
He
continue
doesn't
into the scene.
need them because he's got the charisma already, even though it's only 14.
But my +6 in acrobatics and my +7
+7 in athletics also.
Yeah,
Always a good idea to have both of those.
I'm a physical man.
And then medicine and survival. Your skills are like you're a ranger,
I am a ranger.
but you're a paladin.
You've seen my animal
You're like,
handling.
correct, you figured it out. Good job.
No, absolutely. You look at all of your proficiency. You have dexterity, acrobatic, athletic, medicine, and survival. I guess you were raised by a ranger.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, does anyone else want to imagine what it'd be like to give rangers their own version of a divine smite? Like, piercing strike. It really fucking hurts.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's the only class that I think naturally has Steel Wind Strike, except for Wizard. It hurts like hell when you got several target. Right.
Obviously, it's Tasha's already did that because it added Searing Smite to the Ranger spell list.
Ah, yes, of course.
That top tier spell.
That top tier spell in general, but definitely among the highly regarded smite spells in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it has something else. So now we know what Audience's father was. He was a ranger, a city ranger.
Soldier/ranger. Soldier.
Yeah, no. Audience did mention several times that he was raised by his father for his martial prowess.
Yeah.
All right, and your passive passive persuasion, I guess, would be 12.
Yep.
Yeah, 12. All right, so it's not stellar. You have moments where you're more persuasive than others, but in general, yeah, you're above average. You manage to bring back a little sense of this might work out, but not quite a sense of phew, the worst is over. So you notice that there are still quite a few people that are very nervous with the construct that they bought. Mostly those who have lost someone because of that. You do learn that the burning, the scorch mark in the city are due to a fireball having been launched in the city by the construct when they started to convince everyone to follow them in the fields. So yeah, you sort of gather the information also that it's not going to be the easiest of tasks. Quite a few people have been hurt by what happened, but in general, there is hope. And so, time goes by, audiences talk, Remy does scroll work, and Fisher rests. And Jorg and Tobiyashi, well, they're not there, so they don't get a roll.
Oh, for what it's worth, with advantage, I rolled a soft 20 on copying the spell.
Well, then that's clearly enough.
I just felt like I needed to say it because, like,
Yeah.
you know, for a scroll, a roll does need to happen.
Yes,
so
yes, absolutely. No, absolutely, but yeah, 20 is more than enough. It's not enough. You miscalculated the level of the spell. It's a ninth
Unseen
level
Servant
equivalent.
is a secret level 10 spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Even that would be it's a secret level 11 spell.
Can you imagine what
the level 1 was? It was just like the other one was scratched out, and we didn't realize it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Can you imagine what that would make? Kind of servant you'd get?
Probably the kind of servant that would get you banned on Twitch.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Nothing bad happens. Like I said, there's only one. All right. You easily wait until Fisher wakes up. Eventually, Fisher, after regenerating everything you need, you come out of it. You got your long rest, so spells are back, and you had a chance to heal. I
used a hit die.
Okay. For audience and Remy, I can easily at least give you a short rest if you want to heal something.
What's that, like one hit die?
A short rest, you can use up to half your hit dice.
Okay, I'll use both of mine, so that's 2d10s. 2d10.
Both of your 6 hit die.
I heal 8.
Oh, it's not so bad.
I got back up to 51.
Plus your con mod for each die.
Oh.
Which is...
Plus another
I get
4.
2. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
More.
Alright.
55.
So the entire 8 hours go by. And you even reach up to 10 hours. Not... yeah, 10 hours. So slowly, you see the sun starting to become... I don't know why, I just had a blank on the word. Slowly start to set. Colors are fading in the sky. There is a general sense of tension as everyone knows that night is coming. And did it rain all day? No, it didn't rain all day. So by the time you're hearing me saying this, there's no more rain. Don't worry, it's going to be back soon because we're about to finish the stream for tonight. But everything seems to be going smoothly, or at least not poorly. Like I said, Fisher, you wake up, or you come out of your sentry rest. Nothing seems to have happened, at least nothing reprehensible. Terranad made a point of pointing out every moment where you could have done better during your interrogation. He made a list while you were resting.
Mm-hmm.
He also points out that he thinks you missed a few moments where the rogue was less than completely honest. And no one seems to have said anything.
Does he mention which moments specifically those are?
He points... The only one he's absolutely sure of is how long it's gonna take for them to come back.
Mm.
He feels
Mhm.
like some information was left out in this, which could shorten their reaction time. The
Sweet.
first one that he thinks it's not completely honest is what's gonna happen when his group and the other group meet up near the lake. He thinks that there's information that's been left out in this, but he really isn't sure what. And the last one, he rolled a natural one, so.
Mhm. Well, I will update everybody that we might not have as much time.
So, but other than that, and the fact that now you know every single moment during that conversation where you should have said something else,
Mhm.
or be more receptive to the people's pain. But you wake up with that information and that more, and as you said, share it with audience and Remy and Jorg and Tobiyashi and the handkerchief of murderous intention, even though it can't do anything. And that's about it. So, 10 hours have passed, and this is where you are, and this is where this episode is going to end. Because we really don't have time to get to the next part, to the next 10 hour of this in 3 minutes. So, this is going to be the end for tonight. And
See, all you have to do is just like tell all your players to take all the dice that they have, throw it at the wall, and put all the numbers together, and then we figure out who wins based on that. 3 minutes, easy.
Everyone
I
roll
feel like that take more.
25 times a d20. Give me the result. Yeah, that's gonna be good. That's gonna be
Got
good.
a lot of dice that take a while to count up.
No, the audience is gonna be fine. He has D&D Beyond. Rolling 25 dice, that's easy. And so, this is where we're going to end for tonight. And hopefully, next time, we're going to have a full party for what is to come. And like I said, Tobiyashi might actually have a face this time. So, he's just not going to be a disembodied voice talking.
So be warned.
Yeah, especially if you take into account
If you
what
don't
Remy
show up,
said.
we get it. You can
By
just
the way, my
have it on in the
result
back.
was 200. My result was 263. If anyone can beat that, let me know.
I'll have to roll. 263. All right. Taking a note of it. All right, so thank you all for watching. I hope you had a pleasant evening. It was a more chat-heavy episode, but hey, they can't all be fights. Would be long and grueling if they were. Because remember, for everyone else, it's actually 18 seconds, but for us, it's an hour. So
Yeah. All right. I gotta check out. I'll see you guys.
that's all right. Good night, and as I was saying, for everyone else, also good night. As always, if you enjoyed the show, you can always support the stream by following us on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. You can support us. You can also support us by making a donation, becoming a Patreon, subscribing. I know that it's not on the final generic of the episode, but I am going to modify them. And don't worry, I still plan on finishing the updates for things to watch while we're on break, because I know that it's getting tiresome to just look at a still image and listening to campfire in the background. But that's all going to be finished as soon as Well, as soon as I can finish it. And of course, if you can help us in any other way by following, subscribing, giving donations, you can also help us simply by spreading the words. Because the more of you there'll be, the more our channel is going to be promoted during breaks and suggestions when we're there. This can help in many different ways. So, thank you all for watching. See you all next Wednesday or Friday if you're watching the rebroadcast. But it is a little bit earlier on Friday, 7:30 for Eastern Time. So, thank you very much. Be safe and stay healthy. Good night.
Chennai.